Sonic the Hedgehog. I have also not seen this, but I didn't think we could go this topic without talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. In fact, I mean, that's really the reason we're talking about it, is because Detective Pikachu came out and it blew everyone away. No one thought it would do nearly as well as it did. And then, to top it off, after having such an amazing box office performance, critic ratings, audience scores rated it a 79% audience score, which is great for a Pokemon, for a video game movie. And then it also had a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes critic rating. But now we have Sonic come out. It has a only slightly less critic score, but a 94% on the audience score. So it's huge. That's huge implication. I mean, that's saying that 94% of people have loved this movie. I mean, that's a big deal for a video game movie, and it's one of the largest that has ever happened for the video game franchise. So that's a big deal. And then on top of that, it financially beat out Detective Pikachu. And everyone was thinking Sonic was going to be a bust. You know, everyone was like, Pikachu makes sense. Detective Pikachu, it's a Pokemon on the verified audience score. I believe so. That's what Rotten Tomatoes is telling me, Mr. Otter. But the thing is, like, it literally, like, it beat it in the weekend box office by $3 million in the first weekend. $57 million for a first opening weekend box office. That's a big number for any type of movie, let alone a video game movie, which is notoriously done poorly. There's only a few exceptions to when it's done well, and they were all pretty recent, which we'll get to later. But, I mean, Sonic, would you have thought that Sonic would outperform Detective Pikachu?
Definitely not.
And see, like, that's
a lot of games. They have pretty awful quality.
Yeah, I say the same thing. And it's Snaps is in the house too. Keep in mind the failed Sonic model, no doubt, boosted the hype for the movie. Actually, yes, agree with you. And so. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that because the thing is, like, was that just a genius marketing ploy? I mean, because it was a genius marketing strategy to do something like that. I mean,
honestly, who could have thought what they made the first time was like a good idea? They're like, this looks awesome.
Exactly. But the question is, like, regardless, I mean, it certainly had an effect, right? I mean, it certainly affected the way that the movie's been. Like, a lot of people, there's a big marketing thing that they didn't even probably start, where the audiences are like, hey, if you said that they needed to spend the money to restructure the movie, then you need to go see it. In fact, Mr. Otter here, when he was on our stream, he actually said the same thing. He said, hey, if you were one of the people that complained that you need to fix this movie, you better be one of the people to go see this movie when it comes out next weekend. That's what he said 2 weeks ago, which actually that stream just came up on YouTube. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. But, I mean, that's the thing. But also I mean, there was a ton of marketing just be like, hey, if you were one of the people that said it needed to change, you better be one of the people to support the fact that it changed. And I honestly think there's a lot of social media hype, and also it also sets a really good precedent that, hey, if you're gonna actually care about what the fans have to say, then the fans will support you, and that's a really good sign for the video game and film communities. That this is now proof that the audience will support when studios make changes. So now studios are going to be much more willing to accept when the audience says, hey, we don't want to see this, we didn't like this. And I think that's a good sign. Mr. Otter said Pokemon is a bigger name, but I think Sonic had better conditions. Interesting. I don't know if I agree with that, but you do say that it came out on Valentine's Day, had a lot of earned promo from the initial design. That's a good point. Pikachu came out around the same time as several other blockbusters, which probably hurt his performance. That's also a good point. I don't know. What do you think about all that, Tom? I know I just threw a bunch of information at you.
I don't really know, honestly. I know Sonic's a very popular character. But I guess so is Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, I think in comparison, right, Pokemon would be significantly larger. And Pikachu, I mean, I'm surprised the global box office wasn't larger than it is. I mean, I thought like people like Japanese audiences would have been huge for it. or like, and like the entire like Asian market, like I thought they would have been pretty like big into that, but I'm surprised. And Snap says it would have been brilliant if it was intentional, but I highly doubt it was. The studio collapsed because of the extra work that had to be done. That's a good point. And I'm not sure exactly how much money was invested into the restructuring of the, like, I don't know if it was a whole lot, might have been. I don't know how much the movie cost. I couldn't imagine it'd be more than like 90 million or something like that, but maybe, I don't know. They definitely made their money back. I mean, they're sitting at about 200 million. What did you say?
I'm suspicious, dude. Do you remember the first trailers?
95 million.
Like when before he was redesigned, and those trailers looked like they were garbage. Not even just because of the design, like the jokes they made and all this shit.
Yep.
But then they changed it, and I think those trailers are like better. Like go compare them.
It's like they wanted the first trailer to be notably bad. So it's like so bad that people talked about how bad it was. Because that's going to happen. If you make a movie that's super bad, people are going to be like, this is really bad. And it's going to be talked about more than maybe if it was just a decent trailer.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
A double approach. So bad it's good, and then good it's good.
Which, I mean, even if they spent the money to make that the trailer bad, even if they spent the money to like make the whole movie bad and then restructured it, I mean, they still might have made their money back at the end of the day.
I think they just made the trailers. I think they restructured the whole movie with a good Sonic in the first place.
Okay, that's an interesting. I've heard that, and I'm honestly, I could see it. I feel like it would have gotten leaked if it was the case, but I could also see it. Snaps made a point. I honestly think it came from people who had no experience with the original franchise. That's also very valid. I mean, we keep learning. Like, I always wonder how people can mess up so badly. But, like, it's clear. Paharo's evolving. Guys, this is a big moment. This is a big moment. Paharo is now Paharak. Can I rename him now that he's level evolved? Whatever.
Spoilers, dude, because I'm not there on the stream.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing. Snaps made a point. The redesign cost $5 million.
Paharo is evolving.
I know. So I'm saying, it's delayed on your stream.
Oh my god. He is now Paharak.
Yeah. Listen, don't hate on him.
Lord.
So here's the thing. The redesign cost $5 million, okay? Sounds like a lot to you and me, more than we'll ever see. But if you were talking marketing costs, that's nothing. Like, they could easily chalk that off to marketing costs and not even I mean, think about how much money they would have made if they kept the original design, right? Regardless of whether or not it was strategic or whether or not it was they rigged that. I mean, without a doubt, the redesign was that marketing cost for what they made. They probably saved themselves a couple $100 million. It could have easily came out and been like a $70 million box office, and then they lose 25 mil. Like, it easily could have happened. But because of this, now they're at 200 and climbing. And they're probably, they're going to make well more than their money, back. They're going to make a ton on this. So, I mean, and it's because they cared about what the fans had to say, whether or not they rigged it. So I think it's, I think it's a good